Welcome back, guys. Guys, I'm out and about to go on a run and eating lunch, man. And I thought about my topic that I wanted to share today, and it's called eating on purpose. You know, I didn't start really traveling till I turned 30, for real. Like getting out of the state, out of the region, out of the country. And I think that's important to know. I think about, I did most of my 20s and younger years, traveling to cities and states in the South, why is that important? Is because people eat the same in Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas, Alabama, Louisiana, Oklahoma, you know what I mean? Last couple years, the latter years of my life, I've been getting out west and to the heartland and going further up north, right? Or out of the country, eating in different islands or countries, and you realize everybody doesn't eat the same. I've been meeting different people from different backgrounds, different races, different ethnicities, grew up different. Even if they are still black like myself, they just grew up differently and eat differently. And you realize there's different ways to eat. There's different ways to do things. I definitely now eat on purpose. There's a book by Gary Chapman called The 5 Love Languages, and it should be 6. Somebody holler at Gary Chapman and tell him to add to the 5 love languages a 6th love language. Food, man. Food is a love language. It's how we love on each other. It's how we express grief. It's how we celebrate. It's how we get happy. We eat when we're sad. We eat when we travel. We eat when people visit. We eat when we visit other people. Food, man, it is definitely a love language. And here's something even deeper. The idea of changing what you eat or even thinking differently of how you eat is something that is going to be a challenge, because it is the longest thing you've ever done in your life. Ray, what are you talking about? Outside of breathing. And I would argue that you've been eating longer than you've been breathing. We're eating in our mother's womb. Deep. We're consuming nutrition, her diet, in the womb and out of the womb. Before we can walk, before we can talk, before there's teeth in our mouth and our eyes can focus, we're eating. Day 1, day 2. So there's certain things you grow up doing that's so habitual that it's not that's why so many people have struggle with diet or changing their diet or eating differently, because I think we don't respect it. I think we don't really look at it this is gonna be hard. There's not no overnight thing. I gotta really map this out and think about it if I want to change my health, if I want to change my weight, if I want to change my nutritional value of my body, if I want to extend my life, if I want to feel better. I have to really respect food. I do it 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a day if you include snacks, every single day of my life. There's nothing else that you do that much. Sometimes you can go days without talking to another human being, but you don't go without eating. So you got to respect it. So food is definitely a love language for me and for a lot of people. I would argue that food is also the number 1 drug in the world. Whether it's healthy food or in most instances unhealthy food or food. I've lived most of my life, and you may have too. We've been eating high calorie, amazing, salty, sugary, crunchy, saucy, flavor, spicy, a heavy food that was high in calorie, oftentimes low nutrition, sometimes no nutrition. That's even deep to think about, that you can literally have a meal. You could literally eat for days and really get no nutrition, but still consume 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 worth of calories. There's a lot of things that we eat, a lot of boxed and processed food that have no nutritional value. Nothing. You look on the back of the nutrition facts, there's nothing there. I didn't understand that. Now I do, and I can't help to think about that and talk about that. So eating or changing, it can be a challenge, and it can get temperamental because it's an addiction. There's no other word to use. We're recovering addicts when we're trying to shift gears and do things like, just eat fish or eat all plants, or, again, I'm sitting down finishing up a bean and avocado, rice and green vegetables, spinach burrito on spinach tortilla, with salsa and water. That in a lot of people's mind is not tasty. You gotta shift your taste buds even to get to the point that that's a delicious meal, because you know that nutrition wise that's going to do so much more and benefit you so much more than things that, you know, feel good and taste good for you, but for me was not good to me. I was heavy and I knew it. You know, sometimes people look at old pictures of me and they're like, Ray, I don't remember you being there. I was. For a long time, all of my 30s, I was at that size. My whole run as an entrepreneur in the small business, I was totally unhealthy. Eating any and everything in sight, eating late, man, I was just eating, you know, and it could be a stressor. It could be something that you do to be a stress reliever. So we got to be careful, because it can definitely hit us no differently than drugs or anything that we're dependent on. Guys, you could work out for 90 days straight and not change your diet and not lose a pound. Be stronger, fitter, but you could still be very, very unhealthy and be in the hospital if you don't change your diet, right? You go to a doctor and something's wrong with you, we have some type of dis-ease, the first thing they tell us is change your nutrition, change your diet, right? They might tell you to get active, but the first thing they'll tell you to do is change your food, because it's the thing that can impact you the fastest. The most instant impact is food. Guys, you could eat differently, cleaner, greener, whole food, less than 90 days. But if you did it for 90 days straight with no fitness, you could easily be in the best health of your life and the leanest and most healthy and lightest as far as weight that you've ever been in your life. Now that's deep. Without working out. You put fitness on top of it, you winning. But I know there's a lot of attention to sweating and working out, but I'm going to talk a lot more about food, because it's 5 times more important in my opinion, 5 times more. And that's another thing I'll be adding to the channel is, you know, I'm cooking now, I'm learning a lot about food, I'm talking more to dietitians and nutritionists, I'm in wellness communities and healthy living communities and plant-based communities and fitness communities, and I'm learning. You know, I talked to my mom recently, I was like, Ma, you ain't teach me nothing, you know, and we just laughed, and she's like, yo, I didn't know. And that's what's deep. We can't blame our parents or our family. They didn't know. You know, we're all kind of living in this world, just kind of figured it out. And definitely when it comes to food, you know, even doctors, they have the least amount of time that they learn in school about nutrition, believe it or not. They learn about pharmacy and medicine and pharma, but they don't learn about nutrition. I mean, nutrition don't keep, you know, if you learn too much about nutrition, you get too healthy. I mean, what do you need doctors for in large part? You still need physicians, but you need them a lot less when we are very conscious to eat on purpose and to be mindful of our health through food and nutrition. I grew up thinking, like maybe you did, that when you get older, you get sicker. I just thought you start having pains at about 30, you get sicker, you're going to eventually got to go to the doctor, you might get some medication, you might need a cane. I saw that. I just thought that was, you know, so as it started to happen to me, I was like, okay, this is normal. 30, 35, okay, you're getting older. Then I started to meet people that were in their 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, and I'm like, wait a minute, you look amazing. You're doing a what? A marathon? You're what? You're climbing a what? Wait a second, you're doing what? And I'm like, what's different? And the old returning principle, the diet. It was the nutrition. I was like, yo, I want a piece of that. You know what I mean? To add life to my years and years to my life. So that's not true. And you don't just automatically get unhealthy and get sick just because you get older, right? That's not true. So I wanted to learn how to eat to live and not live to eat. And I would think about just personal things that I would deal with. This may be something you deal with. I start head to toe. Headaches, migraines, even things like thinning hair or blurry vision or sinuses or ulcers, or, you know what I mean, tiredness all the time, digestion issues, gut issues, ulcers, joint pain, elbow pain, inflammation, numbness in hands, hip problems, urinary issues, digestion issues, expelling issues, problems with your knees and your ankles.
Oh, my neck, my back, my neck and my back. Oh.
You know, hypertension, heart attack, diabetes, which I thought was just something that ran in your family. And it's not. All of that, what I just named, almost all of that is connected to what you eat. if not all of it. So many things that are putting us in the ground, especially people that look like me, have to do with what we eating. So I had to think about it, I can change my health by the thing that I can control, which is food. I love food. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally want to travel to every country that's associated. If I want to eat Greek food in Greece, I want to eat Japanese food in Japan. I want to go to Africa and eat West African food, South African food. I want to eat in Australia. I want to eat all over the world. And I want to learn how to really be incredible in the kitchen because I'm a foodie. But I had to learn how to find pleasure in food, but not without purpose. Like, food has to have a purpose. It can aid you, right? We can put certain green vegetables in our body that powers our body up, that fuels us. We can put, it's like you put gasoline in a car, or electricity, or a charge to an electronic device. We can put certain things in our body that charges us down, that slugs our engine, that makes our wheels turn slower, right? And we can put other things like great vegetables, right? Like, if you are doing meat, clean as you can, find it. But if you do a little research, you'll find out that meat, or the consumption of meat, I found out for me, was a big part of the inflammation that I was dealing with. That dairy, although I love cheese and milk and butter on everything, when I removed dairy from my diet, it would change things almost instantly. And when I removed it totally, it was like a superpower that just like, whoa. That's why my knees are always hurting. That's why my joints are hurting. That's the mucus buildup. That's the inflammation. I found out dairy is responsible, and it's tough because milk is in every damn thing. It's in an ingredient in so many things. Cheese is in our breakfast food, our lunch food, sandwiches, Lunchables for kids, Cheetos chips, Doritos this, cheese, pizza, burgers, chicken and cheese on the pasta. Cheese is in everything. So to remove it is almost like foreign. It's like sacrilegious. It's like, what? And then ironically, when you start trying to change your diet in front of people feel like it's about them. And you got to keep telling people, yo, it's not about you. I love you. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm not judging you. It's nothing like that. I'm not one of those guys. I will never be. But when you're firm and you say, nah, I don't eat dairy. You know what I'm saying? I'm meatless. I just want to do plant-based. And I'll find something. Don't worry about it. I'll be okay.
And really, what's wrong with you?
It's people ask you 1,000 questions. You could tell them something that's a whole lot more horrible than eating differently, and they'll probably just not even pay attention to it. But food is so deep to a lot of people. So I started changing up, going meatless, would feel different, eating at certain times of the day, starting my day differently, putting fresh fruit, not fruit-like products, or fruit juices, or fruit flavored, but real apples, strawberries, berries. It's not really like complicated. Real vegetables, making real vegetables. I mean, the burrito that I just ate, it was all vegetables. It was just prepared in such a way that it was a burrito, but it didn't have any meat and it didn't have any cheese. And again, I had to kind of change my palate to appreciate that, but now I absolutely love it and I know how to recreate it at home if I'm not on the go. So, guys, I'm just sharing that, eating on purpose is something I just encourage you to do, meaning just think about what you're doing for breakfast, and a muffin and a donut. Is that gonna get you the right fuel to get started in the day? That was a simple thing that I thought about. I was like, you know what? That's probably not the best fuel to start the day, even though people call it breakfast food. Things like, energy food, electric food, fruit, vegetables is probably a better way to start the day. You know what I mean? If you decide to fast or anything like that, but just even in nutrition, water, liquid things might be helpful in the morning. Supplementation is something that I'm going to talk about probably as we go forward, but let me get the right nutrition, food that my body can use instantly versus storing it for energy. In many instances, that kind of starchy diet was based on people that was taking that food and using it for energy to go on a farm, to go work at a construction site, to be in the industrial side of the world, 100 plus years ago. But I mean, that's not the world we live in now. industry in the United States is now tech, is now desk jobs, is now standing, is now sitting still. Like we're eating 2,000 calories in the morning sometimes and go and sit at a desk. That's gonna add up. Go and stand behind a chair. Going to do a service job, standing still and not going very far. That will add up. Versus now I start my day so differently and it gives me fuel to do 2 and 3 people worth of things. So Ray, I'm looking for edge. I'm looking for a hack. I'm looking for like something to put me in front. One of the easiest things you could do to step up whatever you're doing is to really take a strong look at food in your life and just choose food with purpose and intention that can actually help you, right? Versus hurt you. That's all I got for today, guys. I'm about to hit these miles on the track. And guys, I appreciate you coming by for this episode. And again, I haven't found my tagline yet, but it's coming. It'll probably include better lives. That's the tagline for my company, but it's really a mantra in life that no matter where you are in life, man, I'm just convinced that everybody wants better lives. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode and we'll see you next time.